They call it just forgetfulness, but it was something worse. Stick around.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everyone, and hi, Lucy. Thank you so much for joining us in one more episode of Senior Care Made Simple. How are you doing today, Lucy? I guess it's just
great.
You and I today.
Just us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening, whatever time it is there. Great, beautiful, hot day in Florida.
Well, today we're going to talk about something that is very, very sensitive for a lot of families. And with this topic today, there is a lot of denial from families. Sometimes you have family members who may have 4 or 5 siblings, and only one of those siblings will understand and accept the truth, and some of them not. So we're going to talk today about dementia. We're going to talk about early signs and where mom and dad or grandmom and grandpop start to forgetting things, getting confused, and you don't know what's going on. It's a very serious subject. And we are finding that a lot of younger people are actually getting early onset dementia.
Yes.
And sometimes you may think, oh, no, my brother's only 56 years old. Maybe he's confused about something. I don't know. There's something going on. Maybe he's stressed out. Stop it. Just let's find out what's going on. There's a lot of neurologists in all the areas in this country that has research centers that you can send your loved one or your husband, your brother, your sister, and to be evaluated. So we're going to talk about the difference between normal age-related forgetfulness and early sign of dementia.
So when we hear normal age-related forgetfulness, a lot of times I would hear, well, yeah, she's beginning to forget things, but that's normal, right? With age. I mean, it's age-related forgetfulness. And then they also wonder, but wait, is there early signs of dementia? So there is a difference. Yes, as we become older, there are age-related forgetfulness. But with dementia, as you said, it doesn't discriminate. We have, I think the youngest case of dementia, my understanding, was 24-year-old. So there are different cases and different reasons why someone may have forgetfulness. With dementia, the best way to know is to have them diagnosed by a neurologist. And there may be signs of forgetfulness, like they forget where their keys are. They forget they were supposed to go somewhere. Well, that can also be something that is as simple as a urinary tract infection. A UTI can cause forgetfulness. So that doesn't mean that's dementia. It just means that with a urinary tract infection, especially in an elderly person, it will cause them not to be lucid. And obviously they need to see their physician and get treatment. And then you will notice once they are healed from that UTI, they become lucid again. But then with dementia, there are things like they're leaving the home and they're getting lost. You see a lot of the silver alert when you're driving. You know, when we're on 95, you see silver alert. For the ones that don't know, silver alert means there's an elderly person missing. So they either wandered off, and this could be the first time that the family is aware that there are some issues, because dad has always got in his car and drove to the market and came back home. And this time, dad went to the market but didn't come home. He kept driving all the way down to Miami or somewhere else. So there is a big difference with just forgetfulness and dementia. But the best way to identify what exactly is going on is by seeing a doctor. And if the doctor feels that it's greater than just forgetfulness, then that's when a neurologist can come into place and have an appointment, because then they can do the appropriate testing.
We have a lot of patients with Alzheimer's and dementia, but we also have regular patients as well. And from time to time, when family calls us and say, I don't know what's going on with my mom. She's very confused. I don't know what to do. The first thing we do is, have she seen a neurologist? Because sometimes it's med management. So a lot of patients, elderly patient, they go into the hospital, right? When they get discharged home, they have new medication. They come home with new medication. So they go home, they go back to take the old medication, and now they're taking the new medication.
Exactly.
So that happens a lot. So medication can really create a lot of different scenarios, such as confusion. And all this stuff plays a role on that. And, and one of the things that you guys really have to pay attention is, hey, you know what? My mom is talking weird, or she's not making sense of things, or she's repeating things, and you may be sharing with your brother or your sisters, whatever. And they may say, oh, no, mom is fine. She drives here, she drives there, she goes food shop. She's independent. Please, 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 sign of early Alzheimer's dementia needs to be, identified as soon as possible. And Lucy, many times, at any point in time, they can drive and not knowing how to get home.
Yes, and there are early warning signs, subtle early warning signs of dementia that often get dismissed. One of the things I recognize is poor hygiene. You all of a sudden notice someone who was, we could say, very high maintenance. She always had her hair done, always went to the salon, nails done, outfit. And all of a sudden, you're now seeing this individual, whether it's at a doctor's appointment or out in the community, they have an odor to them. Their shirt is stained. They look disheveled. And you know that that's out of the ordinary for them. And that can be also your loved one. When you go visit mom or dad, they just don't look like they've always looked. Their appearance is not always the way it's always has been. And yes, of course, as we get older with ailments, we're not, doing our hair and makeup the way we used to, but it's obvious. They're subtle, but they're obvious because you know that she or he would never walk around with stains all over their shirt. And the reason for this is because they don't even realize, or they don't realize that they have not showered in a week. But those are just some subtle signs. And also going into their home, with your care management, when they come home to a person's home, they do an assessment, you will notice a strong odor in the home coming from the kitchen. They have rotten food in their refrigerator. That's a huge sign that you want to look for, because that's an indication that, number one, are they eating rotten food? They're not going to the grocery market. They're not getting rid of this food. And you may think, how can they not smell this or realize this is no good? But honestly, with dementia, they're not always able to.
Also, I want to talk about choices when you do identify that your loved ones is having early onset dementia, or, what are the plans? Do you have plans, and what are you going to do? What is it available out there for them, right? So, in this country, we have assisted living facilities. We have the choices of, a private duty home care, which that's what we provide at Horizon Care Services, around the clock care. Either you have a live-in caregiver, either you have a hourly services to care for your mom. And when there comes a time that your loved ones will be at home with the caregiver, you need to make sure that the agency that you are selecting have certified caregivers in Alzheimer's dementia, that they have a nurse on staff that's going to do a plan for your mom and dad, that's also going to talk about nutrition. It's very, very important, because when you have dementia, you do lose the taste of food.
Yes.
So what is the alternative? Like for us at Horizon Care Services, we actually have a full-time nutritionist on site that is actually going to work with the caregiver to be able to get, what kind of meal preparation that we're doing for this particular client of ours. So it's really, really important. The other thing we have talked about it in our show before, Lucy, is do not hire anybody that is not from an accredited agency. Please, people, please. I know I get very excited and very perturbed when family members hire caregivers that's not from an agency.
Yes.
Because they can steal everything your mom and dad have. So please, it's a very touchy subject. And if you want to drop me a little email about this issue, you can do that too.
Passion. The table's on fire over here. That's how passionate she is about this. So why do you think families brush off these early symptoms? And what are the rest of doing so? If you let the audience know, like, why? Why do you think they do that?
I think that, you have, no, mom's fine. She's always been like that. Or she's always been an airhead. I probably would be like me. I'm not an airhead, but I go so fast. I think my kids probably would say that about me. Oh, mom is a foreigner. Mom has, her heavy accent, and mom goes 100 miles an hour. She's done that her whole life. Stop.
You're right. And it's almost, I found that with clients, that they are playing an acting role. They'll pick up the phone and their children, I think we spoke about this before on another episode, where the children are in, let's say, New Jersey calling, and they go, I'm fine, everything's fine, went to the store, went to temple, went to church, we're fine. It's the same conversation. It takes you a while to pick up. So I think that the signs are ignored also because, like you said, no, that's the normal behavior because they're putting on an act almost.
And they are good at that too.
Yeah.
Especially when they're talking to their loved ones because they are so afraid that you are going to take their rights away from them.
Yeah. And you feel guilty too, having the conversation with the parent. Mom, I think you're forgetting something. I know my mom would get so upset if I even said that to her. So we kind of have to find other ways of having that conversation and not leading to you're forgetting. So, or maybe saying, Mom, I think that I forgot. When was the last time that you went to the store? Because I can't remember. And it kind of helps them answer the question without you pointing them that they're actually the one that forgot,
Exactly. So it's interesting. I had a phone call about a couple of weeks ago. The daughter lives in Georgia and mom lives in Boynton. So mom is very prime and proper, right? So she always gets her hair done. So her friends, she's okay, but she can't drive anymore. So they took the call away from her, right? So, but her friends are still picking her up to get her to the nail salon. She doesn't have a caregiver at the moment, right? So she does she gets picked up for nails, for hair. They go to play mahjong, so she goes out to dinner, drinks her wine. She does go to a neurologist. But right now, the daughter is very concerned because she's deteriorating. Now it's getting to a point that, she has a little bit of sundown. And you know how it is sometimes. They just walk. And one of the things that happens is a lot of those people lives in country clubs in Palm Beach, because that's where we are. And they always tend to go closer to the water.
Yes.
And that's very, very dangerous. It could be a pond. It's very, very dangerous. So, so this particular daughter said, I don't know how to have this conversation with my mom. I don't know what to do because she's going to be mad at me. She's going to be resentful of me. She's going to yell at me. And so my solution to her is, why don't you come here and meet with my care manager? Okay, my nurse advocate, and sit down and say, Mom, I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned. Now, she does know, the mom knows that she's deteriorating. She does know that. And she wants to be able to start putting plans together for mom, but she doesn't know how to go about that, So I suggested that. And we made a plan. So now we do have a caregiver, especially at night, as a companion, especially at night. In daytime, she's okay. But she is going to need 24-hour care. And the daughter does not want to place her on an assisted living. And talking about assisted living, just so you all understand, assisted living is not just for people who just needs assistance, but some assisted living has a lockdown facility that, takes care of your loved ones. And that's inclusive. Everything is inclusive.
Yeah, they have secured memory units. So in case the person is at risk for exit seeking.
Yes.
Or we say eloping. And I don't mean eloping like they're going to get married. Means like they're exit seeking. They're trying to leave because, especially if they're sundowning. With sundowning, it's almost a time of day that hits them. And the reason we call it sundowning is because it's sundowning time. And this person, for almost a very brief moment, has a moment of being lucid and knowing there's something that they're supposed to do that they've always done. And that's very scary for them. And that's kind of where you get them trying to exit seek. They're trying to leave the community, or they're trying to get in their car and drive away because they know they were supposed to be at church at this time. They were supposed to be going to work at this time. They're supposed to be picking up a child because this is where their mind is going. That's when it becomes very unsafe, and you want to look at secured community that will keep them safe and give them a quality of life and still provide socialization for them and stimulation while they're in there, while they're living there.
I think that one of the things that key me off is that sometimes what's happening in our industry and here in Florida is you have people who's never been married. Most of the family has passed. Now they're 30% demented. They're alone at home. And there's really nothing in the police already took their driver's license, but they're still driving their car. And that puts us in a very, very bad position. Right.
There are resources out there. We absolutely have many resources that we can put you in connection with.
But it has to be done before that person gets to that point. Because then there's really nothing anybody can do, because we do have a family member actually that called us that they live in one of the gated community, that they have this neighbor that won't let anybody in. Child Protective Service was called 3 times already. And here's what they said: as long as she can bathe herself and feed herself, and there's nothing anybody can do. So being while she gets in her car and she drives and almost run other people over, and then they call the guard called the police. The police goes after, pick the person up, bring the person back in again, and this is the pattern that happens. So that's so important that when you do see that your loved one is starting to deteriorate, make sure they have their power of attorney, healthcare surrogate in place. They have their will done. They have everything done so they don't fall into the cracks. That's so important.
A question that comes to my mind is, what role does denial and stigma play in delaying like a diagnosis, and how families can break from that cycle? So with that being said, I know in my culture, Latin culture, dementia is almost a stigma. And what I mean by that is, they don't say, well, it's getting more, there's more education, more resources now. But I remember being a child and them telling me, in the house next door, there is a crazy woman who lives there. Of course, as an adult and working in this field in education, what I realized was that woman had Alzheimer's. She had a form of dementia. And it wasn't that she was crazy. It's just that there weren't any resources. And especially on the island, there weren't any resources. So there is a great stigma where people say, the old lady next door, she's crazy. It's not that she's crazy. It's there are things going on that no one knows about. There may not be family involved, or she obviously doesn't know the resources. She's afraid. And she may act out in a combative way, like yelling at people when they come near the house, or get away from me, because she's afraid. They don't know. And in those situations, you can even make an anonymous call or even go online and contact DCF. And then they try to send someone out there. They have resources. They have ways of pulling up the county records and seeing, who's who, and seeing if there's a relative or someone they can reach out to and get someone in there, because it's human duty not to just ignore a person and write them off like if they're crazy, because she may not be in that home eating. No one wants to walk into a home and find someone, that passed away because lack of nutrition, and to think that the neighbors knew, but they just consider her the crazy lady. So this is how far we've come, even in society, with the resources and breaking through these stigmas and breaking that form of thinking, that cycle, that that person is crazy. There's more reasons why. and why they need help, and just kind of being a voice, even if it's not your loved one, if it's a neighbor, if it's someone you come across, a friend's relative, helping identifying these things and breaking that stigma and helping these elderly people get the help they need. And there are a lot of resources on, you go online and there's so many resources out there, community resources. We talked about the 211 resource and referral hotline. And I know every county has a different 211.
Yes.
But here in Palm Beach County, there's a 211 crisis line, and you can call them. You can reach out to them and ask them for resources if you are in fear that your loved one has a form of dementia or they're forgetting. Call us. We can help identify these things. We can even send a care manager out there, a nurse navigator. With dementia, we know the last time they saw a doctor is when. Who knows when? And we have the resources. You have your mobile physicians, care managers, your nurse navigators to send out to the home to also help identify these things, where the daughter can be called and told, we really think that, your parent would benefit from now going to a physician office and seeing a neurologist. So there are resources out there, but it's just breaking through these stigmas, breaking that cycle of thinking, no, it's just that they're crazy, or mom has always been uptight, or mom's always had that attitude her entire life. A lot of times it's a mask that they're wearing.
And the other thing that I have found as well, in speaking to some of our doctors who are primary care or neurologists, when you go to a doctor's office, you put in who is your emergency contact, right? So your mom and your dad could put anyone as an emergency contact, but not you. What happens sometimes is most of the time they do not put their loved ones as the emergency contact. They usually put their friends or their next door neighbor. This is, of course, when you were older and you're living alone. So it is important, I feel, that if you have an elderly parent or grandparents, please make sure that they use you guys as a next to kin, as a emergency contact, as an alternative contact, just in case there's some cognitive or some concerns that you need to discuss with the family. And this is something that we're out now educating our physicians, to please get this information. Because sometimes we get called from the neighbors that says, hey, my neighbor, is very confused. I don't know what's going on. The house is a mess. It doesn't look like she's eating. We can't do anything about it. We cannot even start services because we can talk to the client, but you got to remember the client's not cognitive well enough to discuss what her needs are because she's in denial because she doesn't know. Right?
That's true.
So it puts us in a very bad situation as a company who does advocacy, as a company who's our senior care company, because we can't do anything about it. Because we can't treat someone that has, a cognitive disorder that cannot make decision for themselves. We can't do it. We can't accept their money. We can't make decisions for them. We cannot even put them in our car and take it to a doctor's office.
That's true.
So it is so important that, for all of us who has elderly parents to be able to make sure that at the doctor's office has your information.
Yes. You just gave me a great idea. I don't know who this needs to go to, but I'm going to say it here. Maybe it's a Governor DeSantis. I don't know, someone. So you know how we have to register our cars?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you don't register a car, you get a penalty, you lose your driver's license. I think that for every person or every senior, and I used to have a car like this for my son, my youngest, but it was voluntary, is registering our parents at every close hospital. There should be a registration. So I live here, so Jupiter Medical Center. I should be able to go in a portal, not just because she's a patient, but proactively register her to all the nearby hospitals, and in that registration have her insurance information, her demographics, and emergency contacts, advanced directives pulled in that system. So if I'm out of town and my mother was taken to hospital and they put her in there, oh, look, we already have this information. And a lot of times that information is there because they were a prior patient, but what about if they've never been a patient? This should be a mandate that all seniors are registered all the hospitals because, also whatever's going on with them has to do with what hospital they go to. If it's a possible stroke, they are going to take them to a stroke hospital. Or if they take them to the closest, first stabilize them and then transfer them. But if they were registered in all the hospitals in the county, that would make so much sense. So we don't have this scenario going on that they go, well, we didn't have a next of kin or we didn't know who to call. I don't know who this goes to. Someone out there, make this happen. It came first here. Our senior care made simple. But I think it would be great. I mean, think about it. Your parent goes in the hospital, you're on vacation, and she has a new insurance, or you have Horizon Care and Services in there already, and mom was in a car accident. She was alone. It will pull up in the system. In case of emergency, daughter, Horizon Care Services is agency providing services. So they immediately would know to contact us, what the insurance is, who to contact.
It is a very serious, and it happens all the time, that it is so important to have those things in place. I don't even have any idea. Maybe we should create an app.
Yes. We should create an app. Remember our idea here, Senior Care Made Simple.
We're patenting this for sure.
Andrea Albertini, Lucy Torres. That would be great.
Right?
On their phone.
Yeah.
But you know how they even have Apple tags. Why do we have Apple tags in case we lose something, keys, but we don't have this for seniors? Like we do have the press the button, call.
Yeah, but that's something different.
I know.
I fall, I can't get up.
Yeah.
But what about if you fall and can't get up in the street?
Wait, I know it, but what about you fall? You can't get up or you can't press the button.
I know. I'm telling you.
I know children that have had trackers on their parents' phones, which to track them, the elderly parents. But things happen though.
Well, my son have 360 on me.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
he
do my
tracks
kids.
me
Yeah,
all
they
the
track me
time.
everywhere.
And
Yeah.
it's like, Thomas, I'm not a dog. I'm a person.
But thank goodness, because if God forbid something happened and we couldn't find you, Thomas says her last location showed she was here and there. And I mean, we all know that, but there has got to be more for our seniors.
No, absolutely.
There's
But I
gotta be
cannot
more.
even lie to my son.
No, I know. My sons do the same thing.
I mean,
Justin
that's
watches
terrible.
me.
It's like I don't want to tell him where I'm in sometimes.
Yeah.
Mom, I know where
They
you
know
are.
where we are.
I mean, come on.
If I'm at the mall, they're like, "What are you doing at Saks?" I'm like, "Really, Big Brother? What are we doing here? Why are you watching me?"
Mom, you told me you weren't going out for happy hour with your clients. You told me you were going to go straight home. Well, we changed my mind real quick.
Well, there's got to be something more. There's more we have to do for the seniors. We talk
I
about
agree.
advocacy.
I agree.
Dementia is a big deal. We also have to consider how it affects someone living with someone with early stage dementia, any form of dementia. It's hard for the caregivers.
Oh, that's a
For
whole
the loved
different
ones.
conversation.
These are so many things that we have to
Yep.
consider. They need
Yep.
the resources, and we want to help create these resources, and we want to help create apps and special things that will help our seniors.
I know. It's so sad because if you're not in this business that we're
don't
in,
know.
you don't know the horror stories that we hear all the time. And I think it's very frustrating for us when we get those calls from the neighbors or the friend who says, my friend is not acting right. I don't know what to do because we can't do anything.
Yeah,
you
early
know?
intervention is so important.
It is so, so important. So please, if you have, you can have a young parent that is playing tennis, playing golf, whatever the case may be. Please talk to your parents and say, hey, did you guys ever thought about having an emergency card if something happened to you? Do you have a DNR? Do you have
something in their wallet?
Something.
In their wallet
You have to
that says-
have something, because if you don't, the state's going to make a decision for you.
Yeah,
And you
someone
don't
else.
want that. You want to be able for you to make a decision if something happened to you. It is so important. And then eventually I want to talk about some of the next episode that's coming up is talk about how you handle your loved ones once you become a caregiver. That's a whole nother
Caregiver
story.
stress.
Yeah.
It's real.
So anyway, I want to thank everybody for following us, for listening to our podcast. If any of you have any questions wants us to talk about any topics that you have in mind that you would like us to talk about it, please send us an email, seniorcaremadesimplepodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear what you have to say. Even if you like our podcast, please make a comment. All of our guests that we have in our show, we don't have one today, but every time we do, it's always the information on them is always going to be down in the show notes. And even if you don't live in Florida, but you like to hear any resources on your state or how can we help you, please, we're a phone call away. Give us a call. And we are at 561-776-7757. Any of our staff will be able to help you. If you need to speak with me, I'm Andrea Albertini, and you have Lucy Torres here as well. We'll be happy to get back with you. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Lucy, have a fantastic day.
Always a pleasure.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.